الحمد لله وكفى وسلام على عباده الذين اصطفى أما بعد فأعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبشر الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات أن لهم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار كلما رزقوا منها من ثمرة رزقا قالوا هذا الذي رزقنا من قبل وأتوا به متشابها ولهم فيها أزواج مطهرة وهم فيها خالدون صدق الله العظيم. Ayat number 25 of Surat al-Baqarah, we just recited. The Anjam, or the final end of the Munafiqeen, was given and mentioned. They were encouraged to adopt Iman, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned some of His favors that He has bestowed upon them and upon all of humanity. And this is to encourage them to give up their nifaq, their hypocrisy. The kuffar and disbelievers were also addressed that if you feel that there is some kind of doubt in this kalamullah, in the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just bring a surah like this surah of the Quran, and more particularly Surat al-Baqarah, this great surah of the Quran, which is very, very deep in its meanings, in its topics, in its message. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives a very, very stern warning to the disbelievers. فَإِن لَمْ تَفْعَلُوا وَلَن تَفْعَلُوا, in ayat number 24, that you have never been able to do something like this, to come up with a surah like the surahs of the Quran, more particularly a surah like Surat al-Baqarah. وَلَن تَفْعَلُوا, you will never ever be able to do it either. It's beyond your capacity. And when this is a reality, فَاتَّقُوا النَّارِ, then just fear the fire of Jahannam, the hellfire. وَقُودُهَا النَّاسُ وَالْحِجَارَةِ, the fuel of that fire is mankind and stones, massive stones, which will be the intensity of that fire. أُعِدَّتْ لِلْكَافِرِينَ, and that fire of Jahannam has been prepared for the kuffar, for the disbelievers. One point that needs to be made very clear is that when we speak about the fire of Jahannam, and we speak about the fuel of that fire being man and stones, in our human research, we have gone very deep into the study of stars. There are various types of stars in the sky. Amongst them, the sun is also a star. It's a relatively small star, but it's also a star. There are stars that could easily dwarf the sun or make the sun very, very small in size. Some of these stars are so massive that if you place the sun beside them, you can't even see the sun. They've given some examples. If the size of the sun compared to the size of the earth, this earth is so small compared to the size of the sun, like a golf ball to this earth. How big is a golf ball and how massive this earth is. So the size of this earth compared to the size of the sun is like the golf ball to the earth. And there are stars that humans have found and that we have found in our research. One of them is also mentioned in the Quran, Rabbu Shi'ra. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He is the Rabb of Ash-Shi'ra, Cyrus or Sirius, also known as the North Star. This was a famous star that was worshipped by the astrologers and those who worship stars. The Zoroastrians, they used to worship the stars and the planets. But what is clear is that this Cyrus they found is so massive in size. And if you compare the sun to Cyrus or Shi'ra, it is like a golf ball to this earth. Massive stars. They're known as novas and supernovas. Sometimes they explode. Explosions are so massive they take out all the planets that were around them. Very, very massive stars. Also, further research has shown us that at the core of these stars, there are rocks and there's iron, there is stones. If you go to the core of the earth also, you find it in the volcanoes, this lava that comes out, the magma. In the core of the earth is very, very intense fire. But that fire, inside the fire, is coming from rocks and stones. So some of the most intense heat, and how far away, we know how far away the sun is and how intense the heat can come. But at the core of even the sun, there is the fuel of the sun itself. There are rocks and stones, various types. Also iron comes. In the end of its life, that iron explodes. And whatever the system there is, there's very, very deep research into that. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions that the fuel of the fire of Jahannam is mankind and also stones, don't think of the rocks of this world. Those are very, very intense stones. And we're also familiar with meteors and meteorites. These are the fragments of the supernova explosions of those stars. And these meteors and these meteorites, being the fragments of those stars, when they enter into the earth's atmosphere, they become a flame. Very, very intense heat they produce. So this is the intensity of the heat, the intensity that we can calculate. What must be the intensity of the fire of Jahannam? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save all of us. This is just as an example for us to understand. Sometimes we think, what is the fuel of the fire of Jahannam? Must be stones or must be rocks. Can't be that intense. It's far more intense than even our calculations. Ayat number 25. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions the rewards and the results of those who have iman and do a'mal salihah. Going back from the beginning of the surah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the qualities of the believers, the mu'mineen. Here in this ayat number 25, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us, وَبَشِّرِ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. Give basharat and glad tidings to those who have iman, who have believed. وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, and who do righteous deeds. أَنَّ لَهُمْ جَنَّاتٍ تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارِ. For them there will be jannat, gardens. تَجْرِي مِنْ تَحْتِهَا الْأَنْهَارِ. Underneath these gardens, rivers will be flowing. كُلَّمَا رُزِقُوا مِنْهَا مِنْ ثَمَرَةٍ رِزْقًا. Every time they'll be provided with sustenance from the sustenance of the fruits. قَالُوا, they will say, هَذَا الَّذِي رُزِقْنَا مِنْ قَبْلِ. This sustenance, we have been given this before, meaning in the world. So in Jannah, you also, something that will resemble an apple, you'll see apples and bananas and oranges and watermelon and all the different fruits. A person will go into Jannah and he'll look at it and he'll say, this is exactly what we had on earth. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَأُتُوا بِهِ مُتَشَابِهًا. They've only been given that shape. That's as far as it goes with resemblance to this dunya. Once you taste it, if we were to taste it in this dunya, we might not live. It's beyond human capacity to even understand what taste is. once you've tasted the fruits of Jannah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow all of us to taste that. وَأُتُوا بِهِ مُتَشَابِهًا, only in resemblance it will look like this. وَلَهُمْ فِيهَا أَزْوَاجٌ مُطَهَّرَةٌ, for them in Jannah they'll have very pure spouses. وَهُمْ فِيهَا خَالِدُونَ, and in Jannah they'll dwell for eternity. This is just a translation of this ayah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَبَشِّرْ, give basharat and glad tidings. And this was the quality of the Anbiya alayhim wassalam, and more specifically Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He was sent with two efforts, Bashiran wa Nadhira. He was a giver of glad tidings to the believers and those who do righteous deeds. Wa Nadhiran, and for those, and he was a warner against the kuffar and the disbelievers and the munafiqeen, the hypocrites. So here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the hukum or command, وَبَشِّرْ, give bashara, give glad tidings, and every reader of the Quran can give basharat. And give glad tidings to who? First of all, this hukum, this command that is given, whenever we find someone that is doing good in this life, they're becoming successful, what do? Whenever we meet them, we try and encourage them to do better. They may have already made it, we encourage them to do. We encourage them that your future is going to be very bright, you're doing the right thing, you're on the right path. This is human nature. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also gives this command. When you find those who have iman and they do a'mal salihah, give them bashara, give them glad tidings. وَبَشِّرْ, give this bashara, give glad tidings. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, to those who have iman and those who do a'mal salihah, who do righteous deeds and perform righteous deeds. There's a few points that need to be pointed out here. If you go throughout the Quran, this statement you find in many places in the Quran. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, those who believe and who do righteous deeds. Hardly will you find that iman and a'mal salihah are not mentioned beside each other. Sometimes the word iman is mentioned, and then righteous deeds are mentioned with it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even in the beginning of Surat Al-Baqarah, tells us, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ, those who believe in the unseen. And what comes after that? All of the righteous deeds. يُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَيُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ, those who establish salah and who give from their sustenance, and so on and so forth. The a'mal salihah start. So this iman and a'mal salihah, this belief in righteous deeds, you can think of it like the human being. In order to be a human, you have two parts to you. One, you have this jism, this physical body. And the second, you have a soul, a ruh. Somebody may say, oh, I don't believe in the soul. Then why do we bury those that pass away? Because they have every single organ that we have. Some of them may even have better organs. Their muscles are bigger than ours, or whatever the case may be. Why do we bury them? Why? Because they don't have a soul. So in order for a human to be complete, you need two ingredients. You need the ruh, the soul, and you need this physical body. Which one is more important? Let's make one thing clear. Without the other, the one is nothing. Without the body, what is the ruh? Nothing. Without the ruh, what is the body? Nothing. They need one another. Now apply this to everything in life. Coming to being a Muslim, you need two things also. You need iman and you need a'mal salihah. Iman is the ruh, the soul. A'mal salihah is the body. Iman is like the soul. And a'mal salihah, this is the physical body. Now, you may be able to live with certain parts of your body not there. There are many people who live with certain limbs not there. Some who may not have an arm, may not have a leg. Limbs here and there may be missing. But they're still alive. They're still living. But you never find a person who has a partial soul, Partial soul, it doesn't work. You have to have either the whole ruh or you're nothing. Similarly, as a Muslim, first and foremost, you have to have complete iman. You really have to believe. And there is no negotiation on belief. Be very clear about that. As far as the a'mal salihah, righteous deeds, So you may find a Muslim that may be missing some good deeds, like a person missing some limbs. You may find a person who may not fast in the month of Ramadan. You may find a person who doesn't pay his zakah. You may find another person doing not performing. You may find some Muslims who do not pray salah, may not even pray 5 times salah. So this is like the human being who's missing limbs, but he's still a Muslim. We cannot say that Na'udhu this person is now a kafir. The fatwa of kufr is a very serious thing. Yes, if there's a person who denies the fardiyat of a fard, then yes, there is some leeway, and we're not going to go into those details. But Islam, being a Muslim, it is a whole package. You cannot have one and not the other. You cannot have somebody who say, okay, I believe in my heart, so I don't need to do any good deeds. So this is like the ruh without the body. We don't see any spirits walking around, and if you do, run away. Okay? Right? This is not, it doesn't happen. The ruh without the body doesn't exist in this world. Similarly, the body cannot exist without the iman. You may have a person, he said this person was a very good person. He helped a lot of people, and he's very charitable, and he did this work and that work, and such a kind person at heart. And now he passed away. Will this person go to Jannah? Did he have iman? Did he believe? If he did not believe, so he did not even have a soul. Yes, he had the body. He had the good deeds. But he did not have the most important ingredients. Take the example of a car. Everything in the car is there, but there's no battery. How far do you think this car will get? So, but everything is there. The tires are there, the door is there, even the navigation is there. Everything is inside the best engine, whatever the most powerful engine is, a V8 or V12 or whatever engine there is. It has all the components, all the screws, everything is there. Only one battery, and the battery is only this small battery. What this small battery has, what this car needs this small battery for? Well, without that battery, you're not getting anywhere. Yes, you might get somewhere if one tire is missing. It's not a good idea, don't try it. You might get somewhere some door is missing, some window is missing. You'll drive a car that there's some people, they drive cars till the grave, They make sure the car goes to the grave, then they give it up, So yeah, you'll find some people, they drive like this. The roof is missing. I'm not just talking about convertibles, They destroy the car. And still driving. Why? Because the battery is there, the engine is there. You never find a car going without the battery. So you may have a person that has all of the good deeds that a Muslim may do, but he doesn't have iman. The most important ingredient. So none of these a'mal will be accepted. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, أُولَٰئِكَ حَبِطَتْ أَعْمَالُهُمْ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. These are people whose righteous deeds have been wasted in the life of this world and in the hereafter. But you may have a person who has iman, but he doesn't have many of the good deeds. So how much benefit will that iman give him? And again, what is the level of his iman? Yes, in the end it may save him from the fire of Jahannam, but he'll definitely have to go through accountability, and he's up to the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this Islam, it is a complete package. In the Quran, whenever you find Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaking about the people of Jannah, you find these two major qualities. Amanu wa amilu salihat. Iman and a'mal salihah. And sometimes they come in this order, sometimes they come in reverse. من عمل صالحا من ذكر أو أنثى وهو مؤمن فلنحيينه حياة طيبة. Whosoever does righteous deeds, be it a man or a woman, but they are mu'min. وهو مؤمن. They have to be a mu'min. They have to be a believer. So then yes, they'll be rewarded and awarded. So الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات. You cannot do without the other. There are some people who say, oh, we don't have to do good deeds, or we don't have to do this specific good deed. No, you need it all. You need all of it. Iman has already been clarified. The imaniyat. What is a'mal salihah? What are righteous deeds? Good deeds or righteous deeds, this can be left to perspective. Everyone can have in their own mind their own idea of what might be good. Yes, we have a general consensus on some things, but there may be even something that in the eyes of some people it looks like some difficulty, or something that may not even be constituted as a good deed. But in reality, it is something good. I give you an example, diet. There are some extreme diets, Yes, if you ask me, I'll tell you this person is not dieting, he's killing himself. Huh? They're killing themselves. They're the diet without the tea. They're going to die, So but in reality, if you look, this person, he may have some kind of sickness or something that he needs to go through this intense system. So it's good for him. But somebody who doesn't understand may not understand. So what is good and what is bad, this can be left to perspective. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has created us human beings. He knows what is good for us and He knows what is bad for us. So He has not left it to us to define what is good. He has given us the formula. Yes, there may be many things we might not agree with now, because we may not be able to comprehend the benefit behind it. We human beings, we want to always know why. This why, this curiosity, they have a saying in English, curiosity killed the cat. Why not any other animal? Because there's another saying that says the cat has 9 lives. So this curious cat, even with its 9 lives, still died, So don't be always curious, why do I have to pray 5 times a day? Why do I have to fast in the month of Ramadan? Why do I have to give zakah? Maybe you don't understand why. And because you don't understand why, this in itself should be the fact that you should humble yourself to that being that has created you. You take a simple example. We human beings, we've never created anything. Yes, we've invented, we have manufactured. To create means you have to start from nothing and make something. We've never done that. We had something and we made something else. Okay, we've manufactured and we've invented. So we've made cars. I'm giving the example of a car or a phone. We'll take the example of a car. You buy a new car and they give you this list of instructions. And they tell you after these many miles you have to do the oil change. Now you being smart, after these many miles, you say this car is fine. I don't see any difference in the driving of this car. I'm going to drive it, no problem. I don't need to do oil change. Why waste my time? And I don't need to do other maintenance. They tell you change this after these many miles and a long list of things to change after so many miles. You say, why I need to do these things? My brain and my mind is telling me, what is the benefit of doing this? There's no benefit in it. The car is still driving, is perfectly fine. How long do you think this car will last? Yes, for some time it'll still go. For a good time. And you might be thinking you might get happy too. Eventually a point comes, you destroy the car. And you destroy it so much, there's no way to fix it. Now you need a new car. Similarly, there are many a'mal that we're told to do. We may not understand the danger of not doing those a'mal immediately. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives us time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives us time. But in the end, once that time runs out, we're told, لا يستأخرون ساعة ولا يستقدمون. No one can delay it even 1 second once the time is finished. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so rahim and kareem, is so merciful. He gives us time. وَلَوْ يَأَخِذُ اللَّهُ النَّاسَ بِظُلْمِهِمْ مَا تَرَكَ عَلَيْهَا مِنْ دَابَّةٍ وَلَكِنْ يُؤَخِّرُهُمْ إِلَىٰ أَجْلٍ مُسَمَّى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that if we were to catch mankind for their dhulm, for their oppressions and their sins, immediately, we're not to give them any chance, there would not be a single creature left on this earth because of how much punishment would come down. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He gives every nation chance, every nation time, to an appointed moment. Once that time runs out, فَإِذَا جَاءَ أَجَلُهُمْ لَا يَسْتَأْخِرُونَ سَاعَةً وَلَا يَسْتَقْدِمُونَ. Once that limit runs out, you cannot add 1 second to it, you cannot delay it one more second, you cannot bring it before its time. Everyone has that fixed time. It's an example, take it no more than an example. The people who have these dogs, and they walk the dog, and the dog, they have a leash, to hold the dog. Now, this dog, he thinks he is on a leash, so he's free, and he starts running. So some of these leashes, you can press the button, and the leash keeps going, And the dog can run a good distance before the leash runs out. Now this dog, if he's smart, he'll realize, what? I'm on a leash. I'm not going to go too fast, within limits. So when the leash runs out, it doesn't hurt me. There's another dog who thinks he's free, I'm not trying to say anything about the freedom of this country. We live in a free society, okay? But there's some dog, he thinks he's free. So mashallah, he goes as fast as he can go. And the reality is that the faster you're going, once that leash runs out, what happens? It snaps back. So the dog going at full speed, when the leash snaps back, where is the leash? It's on its neck. Once the leash snaps back, his neck is gone. He's finished. He destroys himself. Whose fault was it? The dog's fault. Why is he running so fast? Because he thought he was free. So this is also how our example is. Our example is that sometimes we think, oh, I didn't pray salah, nothing happened. Shaitani gives us these ideas. Man, if it was so important, why didn't anything happen? Now you miss one salah, you miss two. Finally you get into this habit of missing salah. And what happens? Nothing is happening. You think everything is okay. Just take that example of that dog on the leash. You're given a chance. Not once, not finally, eventually, once the time comes. So from salah, then you go to other amal. Oh, I missed one fasting. What happened? Oh, nothing happened. Why? Because now we've lost the importance of it. But eventually, once that leash runs out, once the time runs out, and then we realize, it'll be too late. Sometimes you want to do something and you can't. It's out of your control. There's nothing you can do. It is way too late to stop. It's way too late to go back. Sometimes there's no way to fix it either. So this is how we're given time in this dunya. We might think, oh, I can do a'mal salihah if I want. One thing needs to be made clear. Fara'id and the a'mal of deen, they're not optional. There are some that are optional. Not about the fara'id. They're obligatory. They're an obligation, not an option. They are an obligation. They're not an option. Someone might say, well, you know what? Why do I have to do it? Well, why are you living in the kingdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Go live in someone else's kingdom, This is one of the tafseer of the ayah of Surat al-Rahman. Ya ma'ashar al-jinni wal-ins. In istata'atum an tanfudhu min aqtar as-samawati wal-ard fanfudhu. La tanfudhuna illa bisultan. O mankind and jinn kind, if you have the ability, go leave the limits of the earth, the heavens and the earth. Meaning try and leave the kingdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You can't do it. Without authority, you have no power to get out of the kingdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And if this is the kingdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we're living in it, then we have to abide by His rules and His laws. We don't have an option. These are obligations. We have to fulfill our obligations, otherwise we are responsible. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give all of us understanding and give us the tawfiq to practice His deen. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم نور قلوبنا بالقرآن وزين أخلاقنا بالقرآن ونجنا من النار بالقرآن وأدخلنا في الجنة بالقرآن. اللهم اجعل القرآن لنا في الدنيا قرينا وفي القبر مونسا وعلى الصراط نورا وفي الجنة رفيقا ومن النار سترا وحجابا. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. وصلى الله تعالى على خير خلقه محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. سبحان